How do you monetize social media? That's our topic for today's show. Hey, Wealth Warrior. Thanks so much for listening in today. And I am thrilled to be having this conversation with you. I'm Jackie Almer, creator of the Street Smart Wealth Experience, the podcast you're listening to, the video that you're watching. I'm also the owner of StreetSmartWealth.com and the Street Smart Wealth Academy, where I teach people the skills to pay the bills. Today, we are talking about monetizing social media, and I'm inviting you to listen in to a recorded call that I did with some coaching clients in my Street Smart Wealth Academy. So we're going to talk about some of those key things about social media that are most often the pieces that people miss. All right, so let's listen in. Well, we're going to talk about how to monetize social media because, of course, especially in light of the last year, living with the pandemic and quarantines and shutdowns and shelter in place, people are asking that question. And I know that while I'm in the US where things are a little more open in a lot of areas, I have clients in the UK and was just actually on a call over in the UK, and it's still in total shutdown as of this recording, February 10th, 2021. So of course it raises the question, how do I monetize social media? Because that's a question so many people have had for a long, long time, and now more than ever. And it's kind of interesting. The reality of it is, I'm just going to be really upfront with you. You're not going to hear anything new today that you probably haven't already heard. And the reality of it is, in life and business in general, most of the information that you hear and learn, there's nothing new about it. It's kind of the same stuff because really and truly, success leaves clues. And if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing. So what happens very often is that we are like a hummingbird buzzing from bloom to bloom, looking for the nectar, looking for the big secret, looking for something else that's going to check the box, that's going to instantly create that success for us. But the reality of it is, it's a process. It's a set of learned business skills. We've talked about that before. And it's really mostly around the 3 C's: clarity, commitment, and consistency. Clarity, commitment, and consistency. So again, especially with social media and using the tools of digital marketing, you have to know really and truly who your ideal client is. And the reason you have to know that is because that is who you're speaking to. In network marketing specifically, and honestly, in other professions, maybe you're a real estate agent, a coach, and in many other professions, we're taught to talk to everyone. And while everyone could be our ideal client, when we speak to everyone, we speak to no one. So it really is true. So one of the first things that I figured out, now keep in mind, I took my business online in 1999. Okay, I didn't know anything about the internet. I didn't know anything about websites. Social media didn't exist. There was no YouTube. There certainly was no Zoom. There were no online membership sites. None of that existed. So I predate all of that, and I've learned and developed the business skills that go along with that as I've grown, because honestly, people are people are people. And so we do basically 3 things in our business, regardless of what that business is. We meet people, we share with them what we do, and we make an offer. Now, and then the 4th piece, of course, is following up. Now, that may seem oversimplified, but we know we have to constantly be meeting new people. We have to be adding new people to our database, to our list of potentials, and then they upgrade to prospects, and then, it kind of goes from there. But our goal is always to be meeting new people, getting to know them, building that relationship with them, understanding who they are, more about them and what they might be looking for, so that we can eventually make that offer to them. And it's the same thing with social media. Now, if you haven't been on one of my First Date Magic seminars, my webinars yet, definitely do that. Go to firstdatemagic.com. That'll give you the checklist, okay, of things to make sure that you have set up for your online tools. And that'll take you into the webinar schedule. There's one tonight. As of this recording, they're Wednesday evenings, and it's a great chance for you to listen to learn to the success keys of digital marketing, and then of course the annoying don'ts of digital those things that turn people off. But we talk a lot about algorithms. We talk about understanding the way digital marketing works. Now we're in a very interesting time as of this recording in that a lot of things are shifting. There are a lot of internet entrepreneurs, 8-figure income earners, really solid thought leaders in my space specifically who are moving away from Facebook. They're moving away from Facebook for a number of reasons. Does it mean they'll totally leave Facebook behind? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But what I do know is that a lot of people are leaving Facebook. And so consequently, there's a large mass of people looking to those who run companies, those who run memberships, and those who support these groups to offer an alternative to Facebook. I've moved away from Facebook. I'm not off of Facebook entirely, but my interest in being on Facebook right now is like this. It really and truly is. I just spent 6 days back east, and I didn't post a single photo of anything. I didn't talk about my trip. I didn't talk about going. I didn't talk about any of that. And I just didn't feel the need. I just was disinterested. I've said before, right now, I'm spending a big bit of my time on Insight Timer, the meditation app, but it's also much more than meditation. And I'm building a niche in there for mindset mastery for business, working with entrepreneurs from a mindset perspective. And for me, it's a great space because the competition is really pretty small. And I've already been featured twice now on their homepage. I just got a notification this morning that my Inner Voice of Success talk, don't know what else to call it, talk is being featured for the next week on their homepage when you log in as one of the recommended talks that you listen to. So that's for a week. And I'm super excited about that because again, there's not that much that's over there right now in my particular niche. Is it the right platform for you? I don't know. You'll have to go over there and explore and see. Like anything, I have a marketing mindset, and I'm always, anytime I'm in a space, I'm figuring out, how can I use this? How can I grow from this? How can I learn and grow? And then is there an opportunity for me to show up and serve this audience? And I'm super excited about it. Next month, I'll be approved to go live on Insight Timer, and I'll be doing a lot there. So that's where I'm spending time. I'm also spending time on Clubhouse. Now, right now, Clubhouse is only open to iOS and app. It's in beta. Don't anybody get upset by that. Almost every app ever always goes beta with Apple. It's a smaller group. It's a more trendy techie group in general. And I don't mean that to suggest that if you use an Android, you're not hip and trendy and on top of things. But, you know, Apple fan people are just Apple fan people. So, and I'm kind of one. So it rolls out to beta on Apple first. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the Apple user base is much smaller than Android. So it only makes sense for them to beta test it there as well. The Apple App Store seems to be more updated, whatever. Anyway, I'm not interested in arguing that or anything. I'm just trying to let you know now why Clubhouse is what it is. So back to basically how to monetize social media. Remember this: people are people are people, and nobody shows up on social media to be sold to. They're not looking for your product. They're not looking for your company. They're not looking for any of that. They're looking for a solution. So when you begin to think about monetizing social media and getting a return on investment, you have to think, how can I show up and attract an audience and give and serve and serve? It takes a little while for people to become aware of you. We tend to have this mindset that it's supposed to be immediate. But I can tell you from offline networking, BNI, different things like that, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like you show up one time, you do your little, 30-second spiel or 45-second or one minute spiel introducing yourself, and everybody raises their hand and pulls out their credit card and they're ready to buy from you. It doesn't happen like that offline. It won't happen in most cases for you like that online. Sometimes it does, but not always. And so I always like to set a realistic expectation that it's a process. And that's where we talk about the clarity piece of it, really building out that strategy. And I know everybody's always looking for that overnight clue, but the reason the Street Smart Wealth Academy is set up to take you through the way that it does is really and truly me building on 27 years of struggling as a network marketing professional, struggling when I took my business online 6 years later. That was 1999, and testing and tweaking and adapting and figuring out what works. Now, the benefit that I had, I don't know why I knew this intuitively. When I took my business online in 1999, I had an idea of what my end goal was, and it was to attract people to me, to my website. Now, remember, social media didn't exist, so I wasn't attracting me to them on Facebook or through a YouTube video or my podcast or any of that. I was writing articles, putting them on my blog, contributing them to article sites, and then I was ultimately getting on discussion forums where I first and foremost lurked and learned and watched what other people were doing. And what I saw more than anything is that a lot of people were in selling mode. They would jump in, and the title of their subject, if you weren't ever on discussion boards and forums, it would kind of be like posting on Instagram and having your headline or that very first title, or on Facebook say, make $1 million in your first year, or sponsor 25 people a month, no selling required. That kind of stuff. People would show up and post that kind of stuff, and they may have gotten a lot of clicks, but most of us know if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. It's not real. And so those people would burn themselves out. And I would set myself apart because I don't know why, again, I just knew to go in and add value. So I would create a little tip sheet. So I would go in and say, now remember, I had 6 years in building my business. So I had overcome my limiting beliefs, mostly. Nobody's ever overcome them entirely. I just came home from this trip with some new ones that I've had to explore. So I had overcome most of my limiting beliefs regarding network marketing. You could no longer throw me off if you said, oh, that's a pyramid scheme or any of that type stuff like that. None of that ever bothered me at all. So, or it did in the early days, but by the time I took my business online, I was fine. So I would go in with little tips and say, three ideas for building a business with small children, or 2 thoughts on how to overcome this objection. I would literally just sit and look at my life and what I was dealing with: children, family, making dinners, trying to make healthy dinners and run a business, feeling guilty for being a mom and trying to build a business, and should I be with my kids, all that kind of stuff. So I just took everything that was going on in my real life. Maybe I had just done a business overview. It's what we called them back in the day, sharing my business with someone and they laughed at me, or maybe they told me no, maybe a big leader quit my organization. I would take all of that stuff. I would write an article about it. I would post it on my website. I would post it out in other article sites, and then I would post it out on forums. And I would always bring people back to my site. That was always my goal. So when social media came along, I knew right away that my number one goal was to interest them on social media, but get them off of social media as quickly as I can. And it's kind of funny, that worked great for me for years. In fact, it's never quit working for me. But as I continued coaching, I started running into resistance with some of my coaching clients. I don't want to do a blog. Why do I need a lead capture? I don't need an email list. Or I'd have people that would email me and say, I'm unsubscribing from your email list because I follow your updates on Facebook. And I used to think, you don't get it. You don't get it at all. You really don't get it at all. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is the best example, but let's say that I am going to sell watches, and I load up my car and some tables, and I drive down to an empty lot, and I set out my watches to sell, and the highway patrol comes along and tells me, ma'am, I'm sorry, you can't sell your watches there. You have to go somewhere else. So I look at Walmart parking lot and I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the Walmart parking lot because there are tons of people there. Never mind that it competes with Walmart because they sell watches, right? Pretty soon the Walmart security guard comes out to me and says, ma'am, I'm sorry, you can't sell your watches here. Get off our property. That's kind of the same when you build your entire asset base on social media. Okay. When you don't invest any time and energy into doing a blog, doing the lead capture page, pulling your hair out maybe just a little bit to do the tech part of it, if you're struggling with it, to get that out there, that's an asset that will work for you over and over and over again. To this day, 85% of my monetized clients come to me ultimately they come to me through my blog. They come to me either off of social media where they opted in and then we have a discussion, or they Googled something and found me. Network marketing coach, network marketing trainer, women leaders in network marketing coach for women. I'm just thinking of search terms that I actually have that I'm at the top of right now. But I have specifically, kind of like I said, when I would look around my world and figure out what are the keywords that my ideal client will be typing in. What are the hashtags that your ideal client will be typing in? What would they be typing into Google to find you if they know that you don't exist? Okay, so I've deviated off a little bit, but those are some examples. That type of thing are examples of how you begin to monetize social media. You have to have that clarity around who your ideal client is, what their biggest challenge is, and the solution that you're looking for. Now, the best thing about that on social media is that part of your intentional plan then is to continue to build awareness and attract them through social media to where they begin to recognize your face, recognize your post, and show up repeatedly to read what you're saying. And that's when it doesn't matter. People always say, what's the best time of day to post? I say it doesn't matter. The best time of day to post is the time that works for you. Because if you've built enough awareness and you've built a captivated audience and enough interest, you can post at 3 a.m. your time and you'll attract people all over the globe and certainly in your area, because it won't matter. The algorithms are set up to put your information in front of the right people if they've already been engaging with your information. So your goal number one is to create that clarity plan. Who is my ideal client? What is their biggest solution? And what are they looking for? What are those groups they're involved in? How do I go about finding them? So again, with social media, it's like you're in a mansion. I actually toured the Biltmore estate over in Asheville, North Carolina, just 2 days ago when I was over in Asheville. And can't remember, I think there are 28 bathrooms. Okay, that just gives you an idea. Maybe over 400 rooms in the home. I can't remember exactly. It's huge, to say the least. But that would be like me walking in there into the grand foyer with the beautiful staircase and all the stuff. And I'm looking for someone who showed up an hour before me. And now I got to try to figure out in this big room where they are. Well, if you think about it, there's a swimming pool inside the Biltmore mansion, believe it or not, built in late 1800s, 1900s. It doesn't work anymore, it leaks. But anyway, there's the kitchen. That's probably where I would go because I love to cook. There's the gun room. There's the smoking room. There's the billiard room. There's the library. There's the men's keeping room. There's the women's social room. There's the bridge room. There's all these different rooms in the Biltmore mansion, right? And so I'm thinking, oh, well, I love to cook, so I'm going to look for those people who have similar interests to me. Where's the first place I would go? Well, I certainly wouldn't go to the smoking room or the billiard room. I might happen through those and strike up a conversation, and maybe one of those people would be interested in cooking, but not likely and not at that time. So I'm going to put myself in that area where that ideal client would be. I hope that analogy makes sense, but that's how it is for you. So who is your ideal client? What is their biggest challenge? And what's the solution that they're looking for that you provide? And then where will they be hanging out online? Now, one thing that I really want to focus on is this. If you're not currently monetizing the followers that you have, meaning you're not creating interest, you're not creating any customers or clients. You're not getting any signups from the current followers that you have. Your problem is not getting more followers. That's the first thing everybody else wants to go to. I need a mass amount of followers. Well, if you're Kim Kardashian, maybe that might work for you. Or the other Jenner, I can't think of her. Kylie, is she the one that became the youngest billionaire? I don't follow any of them. But anyway, you probably know what I mean. The one that is selling the makeup line. If you're an influencer like that, then you can be out there in the masses. But if you've got a very specific program and you're not famous and a celebrity and already known, then you have to be very specific with the group of followers that you have. If you're not monetizing the ones that you have, then adding more followers is not the answer. It's first and foremost figuring out what your messaging is. You've got to get that messaging on point so that you are speaking their language, so that you're attracting them and not repelling them. And there's a difference. And if you haven't gone through the killer content and copy sales formula program, you have access to it. Make sure that you go through that so that you get up to speed on how to develop your email series and how to write out that entire program so that you basically have one working document that you can pull from to create blog posts, to create social media posts, to create your email series, to create a presentation. If you were to do a 10-minute presentation or anything like that, once you take the time to sit down and write out that content and create that document, then you have something fluid that you can work with over and over and over again. And it will make it easy for you to test it, put things out there, and then pay attention. How much engagement did I get? And who's commenting? Who's continually engaging with me? And am I paying attention to them? And am I then engaging with them? Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. The people who are most engaging with you and commenting aren't necessarily going to be the ones who become your clients or that you sponsor onto the team or whatever, but they could become great ambassadors for you. And what that means is we love them on social media because they help throw us out into the algorithm. They help Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and everybody look at it and say, oh, she's getting a lot of attention. He's getting a lot of attention. I'm going to keep putting his or her posts out in front of this person because they tend to like what they're seeing. So you want to pay attention and you want to reward those people by being engaged with them. So be equally as engaged. And remember, you want to give to gain. Okay, and not in a way that's all about being out there for nothing more than gain, but you always create a win when you start with a win, when you start with value and what you're giving to others. So you have to really focus on becoming attractive on social media to monetize social media. And by attractive, I mean your messaging. I mean your clear messaging that lets them know, I see you, I hear you, I get you, I can probably help you. Okay. So those things for sure. Keep that in mind. So again, I always say, go back and look at your last 3 to 4 posts on social media and look at those very analytically from a curious mind that says, my ideal client doesn't know me. They don't know I exist, but they saw their friend comment on it and they hopped over. What's their perception of me going to be? Most likely. How am I going to come across to them if they need what it is that I sell? Am I sharing in a way that's solution oriented and not selling oriented? Because there's a big, big difference. And I think you know what I mean. I've shared the story before of way back in the day when my husband and I lived here in Phoenix the first time, and we decided to put a pool in the backyard. And we had 3 people. We called out probably Shasta Pools, one of the biggest big conglomerate pool company here in Phoenix. We called them. And then there was a guy that was at my networking group. I wasn't in BNI then, but he was the pool builder in our networking group. And then we also called the husband of a good friend of mine who was part of my network marketing company. We were not upline, downline, we were crossline, but we had become really good friends. And we actually did a lot together out and about and building our businesses and brainstorming. And it was funny. All 3 of them came and they presented in a totally different way. So one of them came, the Shasta Pool guy came with all of his fancy schmancy brochures and, was pretty annoying. He didn't ask us any questions. He just basically showed us what the options were. It was very cold, very sterile. Bleh. The second one, who was a friend of mine from my networking group, he was fine. Um, he's a little arrogant, as I recall, which was fine though. I really liked him. He was a super nice guy, but he, showed us this, that, and the other thing. But he had, his sales book and brochures and stuff too. The third guy, who was the friend, he was a friend of ours too, but he was a friend of my friend. He walked in with a yellow tablet and a pen, and that was it. Like nothing else. No calculator, no brochures, nothing. And he sat down with us, said hello to my children, sat there with us and said, "So tell me about what your goals are for this pool. Tell me how you see yourself enjoying this pool. Is it is this going to be family?" Which, of course, he knew some of the answers. I think my son was 6 and my daughter was probably 3. And we had an active neighborhood. We were big entertainers. We still are. And he probably knew all that. But still, like, he got us engaged in asking us questions. He painted a picture. How do you see yourself using this pool? Do you see having the kids' birthday parties there? Is it going to be a neighborhood hangout? I mean, like, he painted this whole picture, and how would you see the pool? Like, what depth do you think it would be? Do you see yourself diving off of it? Would you want a waterfall, a water feature? Just all these different things where, honestly, I don't know if I thought of any of that in those words. I had looked at all the brochures and looked at stuff and was picking out stuff that was way above our price point, obviously. Or, it's kind of the typical female way to do things, especially back in that day. Anyway, all this different stuff. But he just really got us thinking. We were in that pool. We were entertaining. We had our block cover. We had all of this stuff going on in our mind. He had solved the solution way before we knew the price. We'd even picked out a design, or certainly before we had dug ground on it and started the process. So that always has rung true with me. He was the best sales trainer I've ever had in my entire life. And I remember tucking that lesson away and thinking, this is how I need to engage in sales. This is what they mean when they say paint a vision. This is what they mean when they say be a solutions provider. And this was back in probably 98. I'm really dating myself. Probably 1998, way before social media. I hadn't even started taking my business online yet. But I remember tucking that lesson away, and it made an impact on me. And I've really worked hard always to position myself that way. And what a difference, right? So imagine we've got the Shasta Pool guy who walks in, never asks us a single question about us, doesn't meet our kids, none of that. He's just by the book. Here's the facts. This is what the pool does. This is what the depth is. This is what it's going to cost per square foot. If you want this kind of tile, it's going to be this. I mean, it was dollars and cents. And, in 2 months, you'll have a pool kind of thing. Ugh. And then the second one, he did a better job, but he certainly didn't paint a picture. It was kind of the same thing. He was much friendlier, warmer, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I still didn't have a solid visual of my pool. And then the third guy, I was like in the pool, beautifully tanned, serving margaritas and chips and salsa, having all my neighbors over, having my kids' birthday parties. I was doing all this before I even walked out of the house. So guess who we went with to build our pool? John, the third guy, of course. It was a no-brainer. And honestly, I can't remember. Well, Shasta Pools was definitely the cheapest because they were the bulk one. So the big one was the cheapest. So we did not go with the cheapest by any means. I don't remember where John, and the other guy was Gary, not that it matters. I don't remember where he came in, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I mean, unless it would have been ridiculous. We knew who we were going with. We were going with John because he was interested in making sure that at the end of 2 months, when the entire process was done, we were living our dream. And that's what you want to do. That's how you monetize social media. Okay. You know who that ideal client is. You know what it is they're looking for. You know what that pain point is. You know how to poke the bruise and continue to put it out in front of them in a way that's not taunting, but haunting. Got that? It's not taunting them, but it's haunting them because they lay there thinking about it and thinking about how that can be the solution for them, how they can put themselves into that picture, how they can paint themselves into that vision of what's possible. So know where they are, know what they're focused on. And then there's two other things that I really, really want to point out. And one of those is please take time on a regular basis to look at your bio and your profile. I call it bio and profile. It's basically the same thing, but it's what introduces you to the world. It's what they're going to click over to learn more about you. They see your great post in the news feed. Why do they want to click to know more about you? And then what are they going to click into? What are they going to see? What are they going to see that makes them keep saying, yes, he or she gets me. Yes, he or she sees me. They're the one. I want to follow them. I want to click to their website. I want to know more about them, which leads me to the second point, which is make sure you always have a call to action. What do you want them to do from every post that you make? Follow you? Click here to get a free giveaway? What? Share this with someone? Answer a question? What is it that you want them to do? And make sure that your call to action is very clear and leaves no question about what those next steps are that you want them to do. Now, another question that came in, this was one of the questions that came in when I posted it out for asking questions, not being in the hot seat, but asking questions was, this is really timely. I need this talk. I feel like I'm wasting time on social, which is, it came back around. That's what I think I had posted in the original thing. And I actually had two people reply back and say, yeah, that totally describes me. I feel like I'm doing nothing but wasting time on social media. So it goes back to the same thing. First of all, why? Why do you feel like you're wasting time? What's happening? And how are you measuring that time? It's return on investment and really being able to measure and track on social media in the beginning is very, very difficult. But I equate it to, and I always use Lexus. I don't know why. I've never owned a Lexus. I own an Infiniti. I should probably start saying that. But anyway, I always equate it to Lexus and cars. And I think about two things: the billboard that hundreds of thousands of people drive by every single day that advertises Lexus. And most of those people never even see that billboard, or they glance up at it. They keep going. They think, I don't need a new car. I can't afford that kind of car. I don't like the color. I'm off in La La Land. I don't even see the billboard. Okay. So in the beginning, Lexus probably couldn't create a ROI, return on investment, of that billboard, but they know that consistently over time, that billboard is going to attract. When people see it over and over and over again, they keep driving, looking up, see the billboard over and over again. Same with their commercials. Everyone has seen one of those commercials. They're almost always filmed. It's at sunset or dusky on the Pacific Coast Highway up near Big Sur, where you're winding down in the car and it's beautiful. And, it's usually a couple, and they're just living the life of their dreams, and they're just free spirited and on the way. And again, they don't ever talk about the cost of that vehicle for sure. They paint a vision and a picture of what's possible. But when they run that, there's no way for them to know the ROI. How many people are going to see that commercial and buy? If that commercial costs them $1 million, how many cars do they have to sell to pay for it? And then to break even, and then to actually be in profit. Same with the Super Bowl commercials. If you're here in the US, we just had the Super Bowl on Sunday, and, it's millions and millions of dollars to buy those short little clips on the Super Bowl. What's the return on investment? I don't know. I saw the M&M one. I thought it was really cute. I thought the T-Mobile one was the best, but I need to go back and watch them. Anyway, but I don't like T-Mobile. It never worked for me. I'm a Verizon girl, but I thought they had a great commercial. Anyway, just things like that. But there are some people probably who would see one of those commercials, be attracted, and they're going to buy. So it's just like that on social media. You don't know on any given day if it's worth it. You don't know on any given day if you're wasting time. But what we do know, and I can certainly assure you, is that over the course of time, when you're intentional and you have a plan and you're not just willy-nilly, that was the big phrase this weekend with my girlfriends. We're going willy-nilly. If you're intentional and you have a plan and you're not doing spray and pray, which is what I typically call it on social media, you're going to attract in that audience. You're absolutely going to attract in that audience. So if you're wondering if you're wasting time on social media, the question that I have to ask you is, are you being intentional? Do you wake up every day with a plan? Have you taken the time to identify your ideal client, what their challenges are, what their solutions are, the hashtags, where they're hanging out? And I know it sounds redundant, but the reason it sounds redundant, and you've seen it on these other lives and you've been coached on it, and you've also seen it in the academy, is because it's true. These are the business skills that pay the bills. These are the business skills that you have to instill in your head over and over again. And then, of course, there's the mindset piece of it, which is really where it all starts. What's your mindset when you get out there? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Okay. Because that drives our actions and that ultimately drives our results. So are you playing a game in your mind that it's not going to work? Is that what you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself that you're wasting your time? Or do you get up and say, my ideal client is out there and they're waiting for me, and I'm going to deliver value to them, and I'm going to show up and serve them and serve them and serve them over and over and over again. And I'm going to make a friend, and then I'm going to make a contact, and then I'm going to make a prospect. And ultimately, I'm going to sign a new client, a new customer, a new team partner, or something like that. And I'm going to create a lot of brand ambassadors. And those are the people who share and support us over and over and over again. So you got to get your mindset right behind it too. You got to get your mindset right behind it. And that's the easy part and the hard part all at the same time. All right. So I just wanted to share 5 deal breakers that I really think are deal breakers. One of them with social media is showing up in selling mode. It's showing up thinking, I need to sell, 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 sell. The only thing you need to sell on social media is yourself. You need to sell your value. You need to sell your authenticity, and you need to sell the same things I said, that you see them, you hear them, you get them, and you can help them. That's what you need to sell. You don't need to mention a product name, a price. You don't need to show an image. Yeah, can you do that every once in a while? Absolutely. I'm not saying don't ever do that. I'm not saying don't ever talk about your products or the transformation that you've had. What I'm saying is be very intentional with that, because a deal breaker is showing up in selling mode. Deal breaker number 2, pitching company products and using company images. Again, nobody cares about your product. Nobody cares about a picture, especially now. In the last year, things have changed dramatically. If you haven't watched the 2 weeks ago, the state of social media for 2021, go back and watch that. Things have changed dramatically with the shutdown and the quarantine and real life basically going away. People are looking for authentic. They're looking for faces and photos. They're not interested even as much in motivational images and that kind of stuff, because we're inundated with that. And now people are craving and thriving, or not thriving, they're craving and really demanding that personal interaction. So you want to make sure that you're showing up in that way. And that doesn't mean always posting a pre-planned selfie. That means doing a quick video talking about something that's going on, attracting in that audience. And if you have questions about that, post them in the chat or post them below if you're watching the replay, and I can answer those. The third deal breaker is being too me-centered. Me-centered is join my team, buy my stuff. There's no value to your prospect in join my team. Their only question is, what's in it for me? And when you say join my team, that screams, this is all about me. It's not about you, even if it's subconsciously. So make sure that whatever you're posting out there is not too me-centered. It's very them-centered and how you can support them. Deal breaker number 2 or number 4 is not taking it offline. Remember what I said in the beginning? My number one goal on social media is to take them off of social media, to create some kind of free giveaway, a call to action that takes them off of social media and into my website where I can capture their name, capture their email, give them more value, and start building that relationship with me. Okay, so that is deal breaker number 4, is not taking it offline. And then again, deal breaker number 5, I mentioned this, but it's thinking that your problem is needing more followers, more friends, more connections. If you can't convert any of the ones you currently have, that's not your problem. Your problem is in your conversion. Your problem is in the value that you're providing. Subconsciously, them understanding what I said, that you see them, you get them, and you can help them. Okay, so that's your problem if you're not converting the followers that you have. You have to stop and look and see, who's my ideal client? Am I speaking to them? What's my messaging? Is it speaking to them even subconsciously in a way that says, I see you, I hear you, I get you, I can help you, those type things. So if you're not converting those, that's the first thing that you want to do, is take a step back and begin to work on those things. Hey, if you like what you're hearing and learning here on the podcast and the video, I invite you to join me in the Street Smart Wealth Academy. That's where we take everything and we break it down into bite-sized pieces and teach you the skills to pay the bills, how to truly build out a home-based business, a network marketing business, from your messaging to your marketing to your mindset. We're going to master all the skill sets that you need so you wake up every single day knowing exactly what you're going to do to grow a thriving social selling business without annoying your family and friends. Go to streetsmartwealthacademy.com. Let's have a conversation and see if this might be a fit for you. Until next time, remember this: hesitation never cashed a check. Good luck to you in your business.
If you would like even more tips and training, I have a free gift for you over at streetsmartwealth.me. It's my guide, Unleash the Power of Social Selling. If you're ready to stop struggling in your business and develop a sales and social media strategy to attract your ideal clients, team partners, and create the success you dream about, grab the guide right now over at streetsmartwealth.me. You'll find more on my blog at streetsmartwealth.com, as well as my Facebook group, streetsmartwealthschool.com, and follow me on Instagram at Jackie Ulmer. And make sure you learn more about the Street Smart Wealth Academy over at streetsmartwealthacademy.com. I'll see you on the next show.